the bustling city of Portville, where skyscrapers kissed the clouds and the streets buzzed with life, lived a young woman named Emily. At 27, Emily was an ambitious journalist working for the city's most prestigious newspaper, the Portville Times. She had a keen eye for a story and an unwavering determination that had earned her respect in the male-dominated industry. Emily's career was on the rise, but her personal life was in shambles. She had recently broken up with her longtime boyfriend Derek after discovering his affair with her best friend Sarah. The betrayal had left her heartbroken and distrustful of everyone around her. One rainy evening, as Emily sat at her desk, staring at her computer screen, her phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "Meet me at the Blue Moon Café at 8 p.m. I have a story that will shake this city to its core." Intrigued and cautious, Emily decided to take the risk. She grabbed her coat and umbrella, heading out into the stormy night. The Blue Moon Café was a quaint little place on the edge of town, known for its cozy atmosphere and delicious coffee. Emily arrived a few minutes early, scanning the room for anyone who might be waiting for her. She spotted a man in a corner booth, his face partially hidden by the shadows. "Emily?" the man called out as she approached. "Yes, that's me," she replied, sitting down across from him. "And you are?" "Call me John," he said, his voice low and serious. "I have information about a conspiracy that reaches the highest levels of Portville's government and business elite." Emily leaned in, her curiosity piqued. "I'm listening." John revealed documents and photos implicating several prominent figures in a massive corruption scheme involving bribes, money laundering, and illegal business deals. Emily's heart raced as she realized the magnitude of the story. "This is huge," she whispered, her mind racing with the possibilities. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I need your help to expose them," John replied. "I can't do it alone. They're watching me, and I don't have the resources to bring them down." Emily nodded, her journalist instincts kicking in. "All right, I'm in. But we need to be careful. If they find out we're on to them, we're both in danger." Over the next few weeks, Emily and John worked together in secret, gathering more evidence and building their case. They uncovered a web of deceit and betrayal that stretched far beyond what they had initially imagined. Emily's nights were filled with clandestine meetings and late-night research, leaving her exhausted but determined. As they delved deeper into the conspiracy, Emily began to suspect that someone close to her might be involved. Her suspicions were confirmed when she discovered a series of emails between Derek and one of the key players in the scheme. Derek was not only aware of the corruption, but actively participating in it. The revelation hit Emily like a punch to the gut. She felt sickened by the thought that the man she had once loved was part of the very corruption she was trying to expose. But she couldn't let her personal feelings get in the way of the story. She needed to stay focused and see this through to the end. One night, as Emily and John were going over their findings in her apartment, there was a sudden knock at the door. Emily's heart pounded as she looked through the peephole to see two men in suits standing outside. "It's them," she whispered, her voice trembling. "They've found us." John quickly gathered the documents and stuffed them into his bag. "We need to get out of here. Now!" Emily grabbed her keys and they slipped out the back door, disappearing into the night. They knew they couldn't stay in Portville any longer. They had to find a safe place to hide until they could figure out their next move. They drove for hours, finally stopping at a small motel in a neighboring town. As they settled into the room, Emily's phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "You can't hide forever. We will find you." Fear gripped Emily's heart, but she refused to let it control her. "We can't stop now," she said, her voice steady. "We have to finish this." John nodded in agreement. "We'll go to the authorities in the morning. We have enough evidence to bring them down." The next day, they met with a trusted contact at the FBI, handing over all the documents and photos they had collected. The agent assured them that an investigation would be launched immediately, and that they would be placed under protection. As the weeks passed, the investigation gained momentum, and several high-profile arrests were made. The story broke wide open, with the Portville Times leading the coverage. Emily's byline was on every front page, and she became a hero in the eyes of the public. But the victory was bittersweet. Emily's trust in those around her had been shattered, and she struggled to come to terms with Derek's betrayal. She threw herself into her work, trying to fill the void left by the loss of her relationship. One evening, as she sat alone in her apartment, there was a knock at the door. She opened it to find John standing there, a small smile on his face. "Mind if I come in?" he asked. Emily stepped aside, letting him in. "What brings you here?" "I just wanted to check on you," John replied. "I know this has been hard on you." Emily nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. "It has, but I couldn't have done it without you." John reached out, taking her hand. "You're stronger than you know, Emily. And you're not alone in this." As they stood there, a sense of calm washed over Emily. She realized that despite everything she had been through, she had found an unexpected ally in John. Their shared ordeal had forged a bond that couldn't be broken. In the months that followed, Emily and John continued to work together, uncovering more stories of corruption and injustice. They became a formidable team, driven by a shared passion for the truth. And as their professional relationship deepened, so did their personal connection. Emily had learned the hard way that betrayal and deceit could come from those closest to her. But she had also discovered that in the darkest of times, there was always a light to guide her way. And for her, that light was John. Their journey was far from over, but Emily faced the future with renewed hope and determination. She knew that as long as she and John stood together, there was nothing they couldn't overcome. And in the end, they would always find their way back to the truth. As Emily and John continued their fight against corruption, they faced new challenges and unexpected twists. Their dedication to exposing the truth made them targets for those who wished to keep their secrets hidden. One day, Emily received a mysterious package at her office. Inside was a USB drive labeled "For Your Eyes Only." She plugged it into her computer and watched in shock as a series of videos played out, showing influential figures engaging in illegal activities. Among them was Sarah, her former best friend, now working for a prominent political figure involved in the conspiracy. Emily's heart raced as she realized the extent of Sarah's betrayal. Not only had she stolen Derek from her, but she was also deeply entrenched in the corruption they were fighting to expose. Emily knew she had to confront Sarah, but she had to be careful. She couldn't let Sarah know she was onto her. That evening, Emily met with John to discuss their next move. "We have to be smart about this," she said, her voice firm. "Sarah is dangerous, and we can't risk tipping her off." John nodded in agreement. "We'll gather more evidence and make sure we have an airtight case. Then we'll bring her down." Over the next few weeks, Emily and John worked tirelessly to uncover Sarah's involvement in the conspiracy. They discovered that she was not only Derek's accomplice, but also the mastermind behind several of the illegal deals. Emily felt a mixture of anger and sadness as she realized how deeply Sarah had betrayed her. As they gathered the final pieces of evidence, Emily received a threatening message from an unknown number. "Stop digging, or you'll regret it." Emily showed the message to John, her determination unwavering. "They can try to scare us, but we won't back down." John placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We'll see this through, Emily. Together." The next day, they met with their contact at the FBI, handing over the new evidence. The agent assured them that Sarah and her associates would be brought to justice. But Emily couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal that gnawed at her heart. That night, as she sat in her apartment, Emily received a call from Derek. "Emily, we need to talk," he said, his voice filled with desperation. Emily hesitated but agreed to meet him. They met at a quiet cafe, and Derek immediately began to apologize. "I know I hurt you, Emily, and I'm sorry, but I didn't know how deep this went. Sarah manipulated me. She's dangerous." Emily listened, her anger simmering just below the surface. "You betrayed me, Derek. You and Sarah both. But now we have a chance to bring her down. Are you with us or against us?" Derek looked at her, guilt and regret etched on his face. "I'm with you. I'll do whatever it takes to make this right." With Derek's help, Emily and John gathered the final pieces of evidence needed to expose Sarah and her associates. The FBI launched a series of raids, arresting several high-profile figures and dismantling the corruption network. The story broke wide open, with Emily's name once again on the front page. She had become a symbol of courage and integrity, her determination to uncover the truth, inspiring others to stand up against injustice. But the victory was bittersweet. Emily's trust in those around her had been shattered, and she struggled to rebuild her personal life.